Hello. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, and a very warm welcome to all the participants of our today's webinar. This is Bakhtaver Mahmood, and I welcome you all to this very interesting webinar of our series that has been organized by AIIA. Our today's webinar topic is about the Japanese management mistake, and it's going to be a very interactive one. So a heads up for all the participants to please have your questions ready in our chat box, and we will try our best to keep it as interactive as possible. So this webinar, it is organized by the Asian Institute of Industrial Air, which is the AII trainings. That's the only institute in Pakistan that's offering advanced level of certified training courses in the domain of industrial air engineering, automation, production engineering, and as well as the media and arts. So AIIA, it identifies and addresses the need of the industry as well as the industry professionals to upgrade their skills which are pertaining to the industrial requirements. I would love to introduce the different levels of training that AIIA is currently offering. That is the training of the industry professionals. That includes training of early and mid-career level individuals, which is according to the current industry demand. Training of the fresh graduates, which provides fresh graduates with an opportunity to build a relevant skill set according to the market needs. They also provide customized trainings based on the customer need for industries to get most of their workforce. Apart from this, there are opportunities for the professionals to use their skills as well as trainers and resource person by sharing their experience and expertise. But as I have promised from Dr. Sohail P. Ahmad that I'll keep the introduction very short. So without any further delay, I'll introduce our guest speaker for today's session. The topic is Japanese management mystique, and Mr. Sohail Ahmad, he specializes in the leadership, strategic management, and turnaround of the organization and the startups and the startup new ventures. Mr. Sohail has more than 49 years of experience in the industry, and having been the CEO at various companies in the public and the private sector organizations. And he has been the member of 13 board of companies in both the sectors and has been working with the Japanese companies since 27 years and has recently been the recipient of the Order of the Rising Sun with the Golden Neck Ribbon by the government of Japan. We also have with us our panelist, Dr. Arshad Ali. He's the CEO of AII Institute, is also the recipient of Sitara Imtiaz in Pride of Performance from Government of Pakistan, and he has completed his PhD from the United States of America and has served as the Executive Director of Higher Education, HEC Pakistan. He has been the Vice Chancellor of National Textile University, Faisalabad, and Dean NAST Islamabad and Pakistan Air Force. So without further any delay, I will request all the participants, if they have any question, they can leave them in the chat box so that we can answer it towards the end of the presentation and the discussion. Also, give you a heads up because Mr. Sohail Ahmad, he is residing in Karachi. There might be some electricity failures at that point, but we'll be back on track within a couple of seconds as promised by Mr. Sohail. And sir, over to you now, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bakhtaver. Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. And for my Japanese friends, if there are any on board as yet, konnichiwa. Japanese management mystique is the title of the talk that I have to. So I'll just open and share my screen. Okay. I hope everybody can see that. Sure. I've been associated with various companies, Japanese companies since 1983. It's actually 47 years. This year, in amongst Fortune 500, there are 53 Japanese companies listed. Of them, I have worked with 7 of them, interacted with them. Altogether, there are 586 companies which are over 200 years old in the world. And of them, 3,146 are Japanese, 1,535 are from Europe. 88 Japanese companies have offices in Pakistan and work within Pakistan. This is a very small number. Even in Bangladesh, it is higher. They have 279. And India 5,102, Lanka 92. So we have to get on the bandwagon of the Japanese companies to make them more interested to come to Pakistan. A little bit about their culture before I get on to the slides. Or let me open the first slide and then we get on. Here is the first slide which shows the philosophy. This is how the Japanese approach whatever they are doing. They have to have a philosophy. That is the basis. Then they go about process improvement, people and partner development, then to resolving the problem. It must get aligned with the philosophy. That is the alignment. You don't resolve a problem in utopia. This is remarkable about them. And I'll share the next slide, which outlines this a little bit stronger. If you read that, this is Markshushita. They have, and their brand is national, which is very well known in Pakistan. The ultimate purpose of a business enterprise should be not to gain profit, but to contribute to and promote the welfare of the public. And the last line, this is Markshushita's interpretation of profit, which should be in proportion to the contribution it has made to the society. Similar is with Toyota. The products, our products and services to contribute to society as well as to our customers' needs. If you look at Sony, promote Japanese culture. So everywhere, the profit objective is not only for money, it goes beyond. When they were starting up their operations in the late 40s, they realized one thing, that it would not be possible to compete with the Americans on the marketing side. And then they decided to get an operation capability improved to the extreme, and that is what they have done. They made it a strategic competitive advantage tool. That's why they are so disrespect age, but not very much authority. And we are not both for male and female all the time. They don't use the first names. You may have noticed the weird ties and
So if I can request you to please turn off your video.
They are
Your
formal.
audio is not clear at
They are
this point.
westernized. Okay.
There is some kind of disruption in the audio, so if the internet bandwidth can be adjusted by the audio.
Is that working better?
Yeah, this is better.
We can hear you.
Okay. For them, the middle management is very important. That is what's very important for them, the middle management. They take a long time to pick the right people, the people who fit into their own culture. Everyone has their own culture, their own objective, their own philosophy. And that's where they fit in. For them, teams are more important than heroes. They value perseverance a great deal. Now I'll talk about the slides that open in front of you. This is called the Toyota production system. Everybody does not practice TPS, yet there are a lot of companies, not only in automotive field, but in textile and in pharmaceutical, etc., who practice the system. There are two things required to make this system successful, at least two things. The top management must make a strong and visible commitment to participate. It becomes a beacon for everyone. To all employees must participate. There are no exceptions to the rule. TPS puts responsibility and gives authority to each employee to manage his or her work. It's important to have that clear. It's not like the Western way of doing things. It gives the responsibility and the authority to each individual. Okay, then I'll get on to the slides. If you notice this TPS, it starts with employee satisfaction at the bottom, and under it is actually the trust between the management and the employee. That must be served all the time to create employee satisfaction. You have satisfied employees, then you have satisfied customers. You cannot get customers satisfaction without employee satisfaction. Things that I put in here just in time in Jidoka on the extreme, 5S and Kaizen, Genchi, Genbutsu, target for PQCDMS, RCS is root cause analysis, and PDCA, plan, do, check, apply. I'll talk about some of these and try and go over all of them in the time that I have, which I'm told is about 35 minutes. We have already spent like 14 minutes. There's not much time left, so here I go. PQCDMS, this is the heart of anything that I'm going to talk about today, right now, or whatever the Japanese do. This is PQCDMS is the heart of it. If anything is it required to be done, it must have a target. It must have a number. Then only can it be achieved and then exceeded. P stands for productivity, not production. It's a matter of life and death. Without it, there can be no growth possible, no life possible for organizations. I remember being in Singapore 2 decades back, and there on the radio, a union leader was saying that productivity is like rice for us. Just as we love life, love rice, we have to love and have productivity. Without productivity, nothing is possible. Then quality. It is to be a given. There is to be no discussion about it. And what is the quality? What is required by the customer? Plus. It can be a plus, but never a minus. Cost. This is to be reduced as much as possible, and the continuous thought must be given how to reduce it for customers' sake and company's sake. Delivery on time, that is dot, delivery on time in quantities that the customer requires. Not in your own thought what he requires, but what he has asked in quantities required. Morale. I wonder how many companies work that out as a target to be put in as a number and trying to, but morale, target setting is very important to continue to improve the morale of the team. Safety. Do not produce without safety. Without safety, nothing should be done. The first item, productivity, is for the company. The next 3 items, quality, cost, and delivery, are for the customers. Morale and safety pertain to the people working within the company. They are for them. So everybody is addressed in that. As let me repeat, whatever I will say here on will pertain to at least one of these elements, if not more. 5S plus 1. This is the philosophy, this is the foundation of the culture. There are 2 aspects to creating the culture. One is 5S, the other is Kaizen, which I'll talk about very soon subsequently. And in terms of English, I put the Japanese words, but in terms of English, it means shifting, sorting, sweeping, standardization, and sustain. Smile, the one S that I've added is done by me. That's what I did in my company. If you're not happy doing whatever you're doing, you will never do a good job. So you have to be happy. That is the basic purpose, and all have to do it. You cannot have few doing it or not doing it. So I come to the first element in this, shifting. Remove whatever you don't need in a day or in a week away from you. If you are at a desk, everything next to you should be needed by you at least within a week. If more than a week, put it away in a shelf, little away in the room. If not even after a week, not even after a month, put it away in a warehouse, in a store. How do you do that? Put a red tag on everything that's around you. If it's a machine you're working on, put a red tag on all the tools and things around you. If you're in an office, put a red tag on everything that's around you. Remove the tag as soon as you use it. After a week, you will see how many red tags you still have. Then you think again, do you need it? If you need it, leave them there. You do that, and in a month's time, you will see that there'll be either no red tags, or with those with the red tags will be moved to another place, giving you space and making things easier for you to access. The next is sorting. So you sort them out and put them in a place where they are accessible in quantities that you need, accessible, and they are tagged very properly. That this is what it is here in case of hardware, in case of machine tools, in case of office work. This is what is absolutely important. Sweeping. Sweeping is cleaning. Cleaning you do yourself, not a janitor. There are three ways of keeping a place clean or not clean. Everybody dirties and nobody cleans. Second, everybody dirties and one person cleans. Third, everybody dirties and cleans themselves, or they don't dirty itself. One of the finest ways of doing it, not dirtying, is to don't put anything on the floor. Even in case of a production floor, don't put anything on the floor. Put it on pallets. Don't put on the floor. The moment you put things on the floor, they get disarranged and the whole area starts to look in a disarray. So don't do that. Then whatever you have done in the first three, you standardize that. You create SOP for it. And then you sustain that. This, I have been very brief. On this, the lectures are lasting a full day, how to do these things. And while you're doing it, guys, smile. Love it. Without doing it, without loving it, I don't see this thing going very far. What does 5S leads to? Efficiency, obviously. Also improvement in quality. Because you now have access to the right things, no cluttering, and you're using the right things available at the right time when you need it, in the quantities that you need it. This affects the cost, and therefore the cost goes down. Inventory is reduced around you. Unnecessary things have been moved out, and if you don't need things for a very long time, sell them off, dispose them off. Don't keep them. Don't keep scrap around you and anywhere in the factory. Dispose it off. Even in the office, this applies the same. Keep inventory what you need. That inventory is money. Money can be in cash, money can be in kind. So do you want money? Remove the money in kind, what you don't need. It helps to improve the motivation. People are happier. The environment is better. It enhances safety. While I've gone over it very quickly, I'll just explain that the cost reduction happens because of the muda of motion. What is muda? Muda is waste. Anything where no value is added is a waste. Muda is a Japanese word. It means those activities where no value is added. How? If the things are not kept in the way that we have just talked about by shifting, sorting, and having them tagged having them clean in quantities. You will be doing the checking for it, looking for them, checking them, finding out whether they are there or not in quantities, whether you required or not, in specifications or not. You'll be picking and selecting, considering and preparing. This is the mood of motion. Eliminate it. The next basic tool
I believe there has been a similar problem with Mr. Sohail's internet as well. Dr. Ashok, if you're online with us.
there is a law of diminishing.
You have the
Hello?
telephone number? Yes, Sohail Saab, we had lost you in between. So now you are okay.
I believe there is a similar issue with Mr. Ahmed's internet. So, Dr. Ashad, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you, but I think Sohail Saab has lost
He has
because
joined back. He's joined back.
उनके वहाँ पे electrical का problem था that he already said, and he has the generator standby. So he said, even if the electricity is lost, I'll be back in a minute.
Absolutely, and it is here. Probably in Japan से ही इस चीज को सीखा गया. Always have a backup plan with you so that there is no problem at that point.
But it is very interesting to see that the Japanese concept, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ पे तो जनरली ये सोचा जाता है कि पाकिस्तान में तो ये पॉसिबल नहीं है क्योंकि हर कोई इस चीज़ का ख्याल नहीं रखता है. तो इम्तियाज साहब is with us, so Imtiaz साहब may be able to comment because he has been dealing with the Japanese companies and the within Pakistan also he has been able to maintain standard. So Imtiaz साहब, would you like to share कि ये जो perception है कि ये चीजें जापान में और यूरोप में हो सकती हैं, पाकिस्तान में नहीं हो सकती, so can you please share your thought process on it?
बहुत शुक्रिया जी. ये all this is music to us and this is the life we lived. Sohail and I are a very long time friends. ये जो 45 साल की वो बात कर रहे हैं तो उसमें से कुछ 40 साल हमारी भी दोस्ती है और we share a lot of this value system और हमने जापानीज के साथ काम करके सीखा है और उसको अपनी कंपनियों में लागू भी किया है. ये जो मुद्दा और जो ये कह रहे हैं ना हम 5S का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, ये चीजें ये कुछ आपने डॉक्टर साहब हमारे ऑफिस में भी देखी होंगी कि हम लोग सारे खुद सफाई रख रहे थे और हमने जैनिटर नहीं रखा हुआ था. तो और उसके लिए हमने एक बाकायदा एक वीडियो भी बनाई हुई है जिसके अंदर एवरीबॉडी इज एक्चुअली ब्रॉट ऑनलाइन कि भी हमने सफाई खुद रखनी है जी, कि हम सारे गन डाल रहे हों और जमादार चाहिए हमें सफाई करने के लिए. फिर हम साथ हम जो मुसलमान हैं हम कहते हैं हम जन्नत में भी हमने ही सिर्फ जाना है. तो सबसे जो बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है कि हम वो भी करते हैं, साथ हम जोम भी रखते हैं कि जन्नत हमें सफाई निस्फ ईमान है. तो ये सारी छोटे छोटे काम है. यू गेट इनटू द प्रोसेस. जो सबसे पहली स्लाइड थी जिसमें उन्होंने प्रोसेस की बात की है. सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप जब तक अपने प्रोसेस को स्लाइस नहीं करते, यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड द प्रोसेस और उसके कंट्रोल पॉइंट्स हैं उनको नहीं समझते. तो ये छोटी छोटी चीजें जो कि हमने जापानियों के साथ काम किया और उनकी प्रोडक्शन लाइन भी देखी और उनको देखा भी और उसमें से जो चीजें हमारे लिए टेक होम थी वो हमने उनमें से हासिल की. और अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम लोग जब किसी मुल्क में जाते हैं तो उसका वो आईफिल टावर वगैरह देख के वापस आ जाते हैं या फिर उसकी कोई ऐसा विजिबल किस्म का कल्चर उठा लेते हैं जैसे आजकल लोग. तो यू आर बैक ऑनलाइन. गुड टू सी यू सर. प्लीज स्टार्ट. आई वाज ओनली फिलिंग इन.
Okay, I will
स्क्रीन शेयरिंग का एक्सेस चाहिए.
स्क्रीन शेयरिंग का एक्सेस कर दीजिए. स्क्रीन शेयरिंग का एक्सेस कर दीजिए.
Done, sir.
Okay, here we are. इसको full कर लो. Okay, I don't know why we lost each other, but we did. I was talking about Kaizen. Kaizen means finding a better way all the time. Something looks good, it needs to be improved. Status quo cannot be accepted. No engineer, no manager should accept a status quo. You have to be paranoid about finding a better way. This is like oxygen. You need oxygen all the time for your lungs, for your body. This is oxygen for an organization. Without oxygen, your organization will die. Guys, it will die. I cannot overemphasize it. मैं सिर्फ इकबाल का एक शेर आपसे अर्ज करूंगा. तेरे इश्क की इंतहा चाहता हूं, मेरी सादगी देख कि क्या चाहता हूं. Ishq is passion. You need to have that passion, be paranoid about finding a better way, about improving yourself and about improving your organization. And what are you doing? We pay people for their hands for them to work. We are not, and you can get their ideas free. All you have to do is allow them to express themselves. This is important, to allow them to express. इसको minimize ना करें. Allow them to express themselves. So you get that for free. So why don't you take it for free? Open the doors. We have an old thought process here, a suggestion scheme. Kaizen is not a suggestion scheme. You have to motivate people to give suggestions of that will help to change their work and the organization. Toyota has an average of 60 to 70 suggestions per person per annum. That's a lot of people and a lot of suggestions. In Thal, we achieved about 20. I was very happy with that. I've shown the various points which actually go to this, that you have to, it becomes the lifeblood of standardized work. And once you standardize, it again becomes a benchmark to do more improvements, more Kaizen. How do you do that? How do you find out? The problem is that if you have no problem, this is a big problem. When I went to Toyota once, there was a guy who had come from the government, and I asked him, what's the difference between working for the government and working for Toyota? He said, in government, if we had a problem, we would worry. In Toyota, if we don't have a problem, we worry. Why don't we have a problem? What is that? What is the problem? The problem is actually the gap between an ideal situation and whatever is happening right now, whether it's a matter of delivery, whether it's a matter of quality or a cost, anything. But you have to have an ideal solution, and whatever, and the gap between the ideal and whatever is now is the problem. Then you have to break down the problem. If you will not break down the problem, you will never be able to resolve it. There are 8 steps to resolving, 8 steps to problem solving. 1, you have to clarify the problem. And that is, what is the ideal situation, where you are now, what is the gap, and what is the effect of that gap. 2, break down the problem into what, when, who, why. 3rd, establish a target for wherever you have identified that it needs to be done. How best to do it. There's a concept here which I've mentioned, Genchi Gambatsu. This is, you go to the place of work, wherever the problem is, that is where you go and talk with the people who are going through that process. And there is no work done without a whole line of processes to be done. Go to each process, analyze where the problem is arising, and talk to the people, both in qualitative and quantitative elements, and you will start to see and put a target. This is where you need to be in the next step. You may not be able to achieve your ideal, but there will be something that you will want to achieve. Then you start up a root cause analysis, an RCA. How do you do a root cause analysis? You build up some countermeasures. You look at possible countermeasures. Have as many countermeasures as you think you can. Look at which is more practical. Build a consensus on that. And then build a plan how to implement it. These 4 steps make countermeasures. Let me give an example. Recently, I was at a foundry. I spent some time at a foundry. They had a problem that the sand was being mixed with metal. It was going in. Now, why was it going? There could be 3 reasons for it. Imtiaz would love this example, I'm sure. One was that it's very high temperature. 2, that there is turbulence. 3, that the sand is not well pressed. When I asked the engineers, they said the sand is well pressed. We have checked it by this meter, by that meter, etc. I asked, have you checked it near where it's happening? They went back, but they said the chances of this happening is less than 5%. Then they said about the temperatures are well controlled, and the chances of this going wrong is also less than 5. Then I asked, what about the turbulence? He said, yes, that is possible, 100%. Why? Then I asked, why? What could be happening to create the turbulence? He said, it could be this ferrostatic pressure, or it could be the gating system. I said, why could it be the gating system? Because the gating system may be too small, too narrow. Why is it too narrow? Because that's the way it was designed by people before us. I said, why can we not redo it? He said, yes, we can redo it. So I said, let's get back to the gating system. We went back, we improved the problem, we improved the issue, the problem, resolved the issue, and went on. So as you build up your countermeasures, you focus on at least one of them and see. Then you run through the countermeasures. In this case of the foundry, we went through the countermeasures, we ran through it, we analyzed the process as well as whatever we were able to get out of it. Here we did the PDCA. As we went through it, we saw the results, we rectified it further, and again did the action. We again planned it, we again did it, and again checked the results, and again acted. This is the PDCA that we did. Once we did it, and we found okay results continuously, we standardized the process. Now it's cast. We will look at it again after some time. So we have to raise the bar daily. Every afternoon leaving, people must ask, have I raised the bar today? If not, my God, it's a misdemeanor. Tomorrow can only be better if we work upon it today. I will run through it for shortage of time. I will not go into one by one. This is just in time, very well known about the Japanese system. This is what is called making only what is needed, when needed, in quantities needed. Never more, never less, never more. If you read here task time, this is like the pulse of sales. For example, if we in a 2 shift of 9-20 minutes, we sell 400 vehicles, that means 2.3 minutes per vehicle. That 2.3 minutes must apply to the engine also, to the wheel also, to everything. Everything must get assembled in 2.3 minutes. If the volume of sale becomes higher, this will reduce to 2.1 minutes or 1.9 minutes. So you allocate more people or do whatever else that you have to do to reduce your task time. But task time is critical to having a just-in-time plan going through. If you have a level production and a continuous flow, continuous में you एक जरा ज़्यादा लग गया. Please remove that. Continuous flow process. I remember again, let me give you an example at Alvin. We started, and I learned this from Art Metal Company, a Japanese company where I went to buy the machines from for making pistons of aluminium. They had a one-piece flow system. At any station, there was only one piece at that time being worked. And that was a wonderful. So if there is anything wrong with the piece, the next piece will not reach that destination, that point of action. So you can't go wrong with that system. However, that process is not possible where you have to change toolings like in press shop, in forging shops, etc. There you have to reduce the batch size and the tooling change times. You can see I'm pushing right now. I'm really rushing. Level production so that as I just mentioned, everything is 2.3 minutes. It is a level production. No pile up at any stage, right from the supplier to the end. No, it should be all a level production. Multi-skilled operators you need because when the talk time reduces, you have to arrange operators, more operators go in, and when talk time increases, you can do with less. So the range of skills of the operator should be multi-process handling. This MUDA non-value adding, I've added an eighth one there. Overproduction is not value adding at all. Weighting is not value adding at all. That's why you will see that the Japanese system, they sit closely. They have routes which are smaller. I just give you an example of one piece movement at this company in art metal. And we did the same in Alvin. And as far as I know, we were the only one who were able to do that one piece movement. No waiting anywhere. Then transportation, the longer is the place to travel, it's a waste of time. So it is to be close. Inspection is a wastage of time. There must be an improvement in the processing. You must make, as they have terms like Pokayoki sensors, so that whatever you make and produce is good. Inventory, that both before you start making and overproduction, when you make too much, both are inventory. When you do overproduction, you want to sell what you have produced. This is MUDA, because that's not what the customer wants. You should give to the customer what the customer wants. When you have overproduced, you want to give whatever you have produced. The MUDA of motion I've just mentioned earlier when I talked to you about 5S, making defects and then putting them right. This is a waste. So don't make defects. And that is where they have a term called Pokayoki, which means error proofing. Error proofing, and we did a lot of it at Thal, that we would avoid error through this. The last slide is the principle of stopping work. This is so crucial to improvement of quality. It's fundamental to TPS. This principle is called Jidoka. Any worker can stop the line. The end-on line will flash. As soon as he sees something wrong, the team leader will come to assist. The line will continue to move until it reaches the fixed position, which is that the next station will have one part to machine only. That's all. No more. It will stop there. How do you do that? You use sensors. And as I use the word Pokayoki, you use that. Well, I think I should stop here and give people the chance to shoot any question they would like to ask. I hope this will be useful.
One of the question which Mr. Qasim has asked, what Einstein would say about 5S, because once you see the pictures about Einstein, there is all mess around him. So that's what people relate to the creativity. So Mr. Qasim question is how that would relate to 5S.
Yes, it looks like it will not by looking at how Einstein worked. And there are exceptions to the rule. What we are talking about is creating a rule for everybody to participate. As I mentioned, the workers also have a lot of creativity. But unless it is done in an organized manner, we will never be able to tap their mind. And that is why it is so. But some people only work best when there is a lot of mess around them. That's how they like it.
So if I may add, actually, the principles of 5S are applicable to industry and production environment. The academic environment is quite different. And moreover, as Sohail Saab pointed out, it relates to quite a lot with respect to individual choices, perceptions, and the way the individual has been brought up. So some people are more creative around a mess. Some people want a very clean environment to be creative. That's what I saw while working in the US universities and European universities. But I generally saw there are very few people who are creative once there is a mess around them. Majority of the people I have come across, especially from Germany, Sweden, CERN in Switzerland. So people want to be have well organized, because if you are organized, then you can always refer to different data points, different research references, etc. So organization and organizational environment is very, very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So there is a question. Just in time, JIT is a concept. It is not 100% implementable, because there is always need for a buffer. So can you please comment into?
No, in Pakistan, because we have learned and trained ourselves to accept these things. Right now, our supplies to Indus Motors from Agri-Auto are 5 times a day. So to be just in time. So it's not so. We have learned to accept these factors in our life. If we are late, we say, "Ye to Pakistani ka style hi hai." So we have learned to accept these things. But there are shades of gray everywhere. And the moment we decide not to accept this, for example, like timeliness, if Japanese person can do it, why can we not do the same? But we have learned to accept being late. And therefore we accept it. Ab mere yahan, I mean, what I suffered recently, and I'm going through that. So here the contractor says, "Sab, ye to hota hai." This is something I cannot accept. That ye to hota hai. Aisa nahi hota. Nahi hona chahiye. So unless we learn to say no, this is not acceptable. A very good example is actually my wife. She refuses to accept things which are not right. And she even pushes me on that count. So the thing is that you have to learn to say no, this is not acceptable. Then only will you improve. And that applies everywhere. There's a question I just read from Adnan Aftab. He said that it seems to apply, TPS seems to apply to production. No, sir. Yes, it has been started in production. But where was it learned from? Do you know that? Mr. Ono of Toyota, he learned it from the supermarkets of USA, a service industry. When he went there and he saw that any customer can come at any time and pick from the shelf what he or she wants in quantities that he or she wants, he was most impressed how it is done. He learned that system, improved upon it in the industry. Yes, there are things which I've talked about and not have dwelt upon them at all, is the respect for authority. Ono told one engineer to stand at a place and he said, "I'll be back shortly." He didn't come back for 5 hours. When he came back, he saw the engineer still standing there. The lunch hour had passed and the man was still standing there. He said, "Have you been all the time here?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Now you will become a CEO. If you have learned to obey, you will learn to lead also." So everything that is doable for manufacturing is also possible in all fields of life. Try applying 5S at your house. You will find an improvement there. Anywhere. I can give you many anecdotes of these small things. I went to Japan once. I was going to board a bus. They and they'd given us some tickets. I was holding it in my right hand. He said, "No, no, no, no. Hold it in your left hand, because the conductor will stand on the left hand side. And don't keep it in your pocket. Hold it in your hand." He also told me, when you're boarding a train, don't hold it in your hand. Put it in your pocket. It can fall between the train and the platform. So put it in your pocket. But when you're boarding a bus, keep it there so no time is wasted in you trying to take out the ticket from your pocket. This is just in time, man. This is what we learn from others. So every little thing, you just have to start looking at the ideal and where we are now, and you will start to improve yourself. Sorry for that long answer, but I couldn't help when somebody raised that point. It was like a red herring to me.
Yeah,
may I ask something?
Yeah, sure, please go ahead.
सर आपने बातें बड़ी अच्छी की और आपने जापान की मिसाल दी. अगर हम पाकिस्तान को देखें,
इंट्रोडक्शन भी करवा. नसीर साहब
जी सर.
अपना थोड़ा.
नसीर अहमद, मैं फैसलाबाद से हूँ. एक टेक्सटाइल मिल है, उसका जनरल मैनेजर हूँ. प्रोडक्शन को डील करता हूँ. ऑलमोस्ट 700 पीपल आर वर्किंग हियर and daily production capacity is 70,000 units per day, and we are exporting company to the Europe and USA. और सर ने जो बातें की कि जापानीज टेक्नोलॉजी टेक्निक्स की मिसालें दी, ये चीज़ दी. इधर हम जो इंडस्ट्री में फेस कर रहे हैं, हमारे पास मुश्किल से मैट्रिक या उससे भी नीचे लोग हमारे पास आते हैं. अब हमारी मजबूरी है कि उनको ट्रेन करना, और हमारे पास टाइम भी इतना नहीं होता, क्योंकि मतलब एक प्राइवेट फर्म है, रिजल्ट मांगे जाते हैं, रिजल्ट है. तो क्या आप लोगों ने गवर्नमेंट की सतह पे ऐसी कोई काम की कि हमें जापान की तरह एक क्वालिफाइड, क्योंकि जापान में ऑलमोस्ट 100% एजुकेशन है. पाकिस्तान के अंदर अगर हायर एजुकेशन आज हम देखें तो मुशर्रफ साहब के दौर में 7% था, आज उस 7% से भी हम नीचे आ गए. जर्मनी के आप यूरोप की मिसालें दे रहे हैं, तो जर्मनी के अंदर 25% जो है ना स्किल लेबर है. हमारे पास मुशर्रफ साहब के दौर में 2.5% थी, आज 2.5% से भी स्किल लेबर नीचे आ गई है. तो मतलब हम उस स्टैंडर्ड्स को, उन चीज़ों को कैसे हम मेंटेन करें. हम मतलब है कि दुनिया का क्वालिटी में और प्रोडक्शन में तो है, लेकिन क्वालिटी में और इनोवेटिव क्वालिटी में हम कैसे मुकाबला करें, क्योंकि हमारे पास स्किल लेबर और हमारे पास जो हायर एजुकेशन है ये 6-7% है. तो इस मतलब है कि आप क्या करें. हम मतलब जापानीज के साथ अपना मुआवजा करते हैं, उन मुल्कों से क्या करते हैं, लेकिन हमारी मतलब है कि गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से, हमारी किसी चीज़ की तरफ से, कि हम लोगों की उस जहनी लेवल को हम अपग्रेड करें. क्योंकि इंसान तो अमेरिका का जो इंसान है वो मेरी तरह ही है, 2 आंखें 2 कान 2 हाथ उसके मेरे भी. बुनियादी फर्क क्या है, जापान का भी बुनियादी फर्क तो सोच का ही है. तो मतलब हम उस सोच को कैसे कर दें, क्योंकि इधर बैठ के ये चीज़ें सजेशन देना तो बड़ी आसान है, लेकिन इंडस्ट्री में आके उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना और इस तरह आउटपुट देना. तो दूसरी ऑटोमोबाइल्स की आप देंगे, मिसाल देंगे जहाँ पे हर चीज़ अपने रेंज में पड़ी है. एक प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी है, टेक्सटाइल की है, मुख्तलिफ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग है, जहाँ पे मतलब है कि वो क्लीनिंग ही एक अलग माने में और अलग चीज़ों में इस्तेमाल हो. तो उस पर आप लोग का स्पेसिफिकली वर्क है, कोई एग्जांपल्स है जो आप लोगों ने किया और ये 5S के रूल अप्लाई करके बेहतरीन शक्ल बनाई है, हमें हमारे साथ शेयर कर सकते हैं. थैंक यू सर.
जी नसीर साहब, बहुत लंबा सवाल कर दिया आपने. इसमें बहुत सारी बातें पिना हो गई. बट nevertheless, this TPS is actually, इसकी ट्रेनिंग दी गई है 3 टेक्सटाइल मिल्स को पाकिस्तान में. एक फैसलाबाद में है, एक मुल्तान में, एक कराची में है. और अभी भी ट्रेनिंग्स अवेलेबल हो रही होती अगर ये वायरस का सिलसिला नहीं होता. मैं नहीं दे रहा हूं ट्रेनिंग, जापानीज ट्रेनर्स आ रहे हैं, बट मैं भी दे सकता हूं हाउ टू डू दिस, हाउ टू मेक दिस हैपन इन अ टेक्सटाइल यूनिट. मगर आपने जो सोच की बात की है, सोच के लिए जरूरी है कि आपको उसको एजुकेट या ट्रेन करना पड़ेगा. खुद ब खुद देखिए 3 एलिमेंट्स होते हैं हम नापने का इंटरनेशनल कॉम्पिटिटिव, एक आपकी हैंड की ट्रेनिंग होती है, उससे इससे क्या होता है, एक प्रोडक्टिविटी की बात होती है, इससे बात होती है प्रोडक्शन की। उसके बाद माइंड ट्रेनिंग करिए, विदाउट माइंड ट्रेनिंग प्रोडक्टिविटी होती ही नहीं है, हो ही नहीं सकती प्रोडक्टिविटी। सिर्फ हैंड ट्रेनिंग से सिर्फ प्रोडक्शन निकलेगी। फिर उसको वैल्यू ट्रेनिंग दीजिए, वैल्यू सिखाइए, फिर आप इंटरनेशनली कॉम्पिटिटिव हो जाएंगे। ये तीनों चीजें अगर मौजूद होंगी, हैंड ट्रेनिंग, माइंड ट्रेनिंग, वैल्यू ट्रेनिंग। हम वैल्यूज भूले बैठे में अपने बुजुर्गों की, माशरे की। हम अपने माशरे से बिछड़ गए हैं। हम गंदगी में बैठ के काम करते हैं और इसको एक्सेप्ट करते हैं। वो निस्फ ईमान तो दूर चला गया, चौथाई भी नहीं रह गया, 10वां भी नहीं रह गया। आप किसी ट्रक अड्डे पे जाके देखिए कितनी गंद है, किसी मैकेनिक के वर्कशॉप में जाके देखिए कितनी, सब एक्सेप्टेबल है। काला मुंह है, काले हाथ हैं, काले कपड़े हैं, कैसे एक्सेप्ट करें? मैं आपको जापान की फाउंड्री दिखाता हूं जो क्लीन है, मालूम ही नहीं होता कि आप फाउंड्री में खड़े। ये सोच की बात है ना, सोच को बदलना आप लोगों का काम है। आप लीडर हैं नसीर साहब, यू आर द लीडर। आप अपने से देखिए, मैंने वैल्यूज के ऊपर 1000 लोगों से, अब मेरे यहां 1000 लोग काम करते थे, 1000 लोगों से मुनफरिद मिलकर मैंने वैल्यूज पे बातें की हैं। 1000 people. So every one of them I met. I spent time with them. Then you have to walk your talk. और वो दीवारों पे लिखने से वैल्यूज नहीं आती. You have to show how it is to be implemented. आप उसको ACRs में डालें वैल्यूज को. आप उनसे गुफ्तगू करें कि इस लफ्ज के क्या मायने तुमने समझे और हमने क्या मायने समझे. लफ्ज को उठाएं, पटखें, फेंकें, यहां तक कि सबको उस वर्ड के मायने मालूम हो जाए कि क्या है. मैंने तो इम्तियाज को कहा मुझे बुलाओ तो मैं इस I can do it at your factory. I'm not asking for money. It's my passion to educate people. Whatever I have learned, I want to give back to society and to the people. But by Jove, we are so far behind. There's so much to be done. And Nasir साहब, please don't lose heart. Don't give up. ये मुझे आपकी बातों से लगा कि आपने कहा हम लोग क्या ऐसा होता है. मैं आपसे कह रहा हूं टेक्सटाइल कंपनीज पाकिस्तान में wanting to do better, wanting to export to Japan are learning TPS. Please do that.
Can we have comment from Adnan Aftab, please? आप अपना माइक ऑन कर लीजिए, अपना इंट्रोडक्शन भी करवा दीजिएगा.
जी सर, अस्सलाम वालेकुम. My name is Adnan Aftab and I've been serving for the last 25 years in appliances sector. I've served the Dollans, Shell, Waves, and now I am serving Airlink Communication and setting up Pakistan first mobile phone factory, mobile phone manufacturing plant in Pakistan. So I met Sohail Saab, माशाल्लाह से, he is an entrepreneur. इनसे मेरा जब ये थर्ड इंजीनियरिंग में थे तो इंटरेक्शन रहा है. एंड मैं सिर्फ 5S के बारे में बस इतना ही कहता हूँ जो मेरा अपना पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है कि ये हमारी हैबिट्स हैं.
We have Mr. Fuji from Japan also in the
participant. Okay, I'll speak in English.
Please speak in English.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. So according to my experience, for what I have, because I've been to manufacturing business for the last 25 years, I believe that is the habit. It's not nothing. It's what you want. If you wanted to do something good, if you wanted to do something in organized way, then you can name it as 5S or whatever you call. But it's the habit. The only problem which we as in Pakistan have, that we always found ways of getting out from the problem. We are not getting into the problem and try to solve it. So once we have this thinking to solve, I have a very good example of continual improvement, and that I relate to the Hajj. Every year when you saw the Hajj session, if they have any problem in the previous session of Hajj, they improve and come up with a very, very good ideas and they implement it. Just like if I give you one example of Jumrat, I mean, 6 years back, Jumrat was like, every time they have an accident, so now they come up with a very good solution. This is called a continual improvement for me. So if we wanted to do something, if we have a, will and we wanted to do, we can do it. Yes, we cannot follow the exact philosophy of the Japanese, but at least they have a long research with them, and they whatever the theories they give, they are already proved it in Japan and rest of the world after the World War II. So I think we have to be very open on this, and we accept things and we try to find good ways in those philosophies. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Can we have some comments from Masuma Akhtar, please? You can turn on your mic and introduce yourself. Masuma. Can we have some comments from Mr. Fuji if you are interested in giving any comments? You might have experience of working with Pakistan.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
Anyways, so Sohail-san, thank you very much for your lecture. You extract a Japanese system much better than Japanese people, and then really encouraged for it. But one thing that I like to comment is, we are all ordinary people, and then Japanese system tried to make some ordinary people to do extraordinary things to using this system. So I think that is a basic philosophy that in the beginning, Sohail-san introduced.
Yes.
I just like to make some comment on this. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for that statement. I should have made that statement, but I forgot to say that. That's right. That's absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Now it is open if anybody wants to give any comments or any suggestions. If not, then we can close this session.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zia. I'm from Spell. Assalamu alaikum, Sohail bhai. Imtiaz sahab.
Wa alaikum assalam. Ji.
Good to hear from you, Sohail bhai. Just one comment. Whatever he said is doable. It is not out of the blue. It is something which is ordinary, easy, and implementable. So be motivated, be ready to do it. And if you have the will, it is a very easy thing. Thank you.
Even if it's not easy, Zia, it needs to be done for the sake of the company, for the sake of our country, for the sake of also the customers who must be made to rise. They have been subjected to all kinds of things, and now to say this is made in Pakistan is actually never talking about a quality product. Unfortunately, people have lost faith in our products.
So thank you very much. I'll just share one of my experience. I have been interacting with Imtiaz sahab, and he had 30 people working in that office, and there was only one person. He was responsible for all the secretarial support, all the support in terms of cleanliness, the janitorial, and all that, because everybody was trained to ensure that whenever they use toilet, person shall clean before coming out after using it. So there was very little work left as far as janitorial services is concerned. So examples are there, and one has to be creative and innovative in order to benefit from these concepts. Because until and unless you start thinking that if Japanese can do it, why can't we? If Americans can do it, why can't we? So then we will be able to implement it. But if we have the mindset that they can do it, but we cannot, then it will not be possible.
Absolutely. मैं तो कहूंगा कि ये बात को न भूलें. इकबाल का जो शेर है ना, वो इश्क is not मोहब्बत, it is passion. Passion for your country, passion for your work, passion to improve. This is what तेरे इश्क की इंतहा चाहता. This is what it means. जी इम्तियाज, you wanted to say something?
बहुत शुक्रिया सोहेल भाई. I know अपने बड़े handicaps में ना रहे हैं और I did not have the heart to talk back to you क्योंकि जिस condition में आप लोग गुजरे हैं सैलाब में. Thank you very much for being with us. ये जो बातें आपने की हैं मैं इसलिए इसके साथ रिलेट कर सकता हूँ कि हमने ये सीखा भी है जापानीज के साथ काम करके and then we also implemented it. तो ये जो आपने बात की थी ना कि it starts from the top. If the top man or the directors do not subscribe to it और उनका ख्याल है कि नीचे वाले अमले को वो जो है ना बता देंगे ट्रेनिंग के थ्रू, वो होता नहीं है. हम लोगों ने जब रस्का इंजीनियरिंग कंपनी को ट्रांसफॉर्म किया तो जब हमने उसमें 5S किया तो we were ourselves involved with that. और उसके बाद जब हमने ये बाकी ये टॉयलेट्स वगैरह का स्टार्ट किया तो we were ourselves doing that cleaning. मतलब myself and my sons we were doing the cleaning. और लोग देखते थे, नहीं जी हम करते हैं. हमने कहा नहीं हम करेंगे इसको, ताकि उसमें से जो वो चीज थी ना we took that thing out of it कि जी हम ये जमादार बन गए, हम ये बन गए, वो बन गए. वो जो कल्चर है ना we attack the culture. अगर मैं कहूँ कि मेरी जिंदगी में जो काम हुआ, मेरा सबसे बड़ी जो एफर्ट थी ना I was fighting a culture all my life. That's what I want.
Yes, you have to build the culture, and the culture is built by having the right values. Without the values, the culture can never be built.
That's it.
Right, sir? So,
with that, I hand over. जी.
मैं समझता हूँ कि ये बड़ी अच्छी एक स्टार्ट है और ये जो हमारे पास प्लेटफॉर्म है ट्रेनिंग का AIIA का और जो फैसलाबाद में खास तौर पे जो हमने ये नेशनल टेक्सटाइल यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ जो हमने ट्रेनिंग सेंटर बनाया है, तो मेरा ख्याल है कि वी शुड आल्सो इंक्लूड ये जो जापानीज मेथड प्रोडक्शन है और जैसे टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री के हमारे नसीर साहब ने भी बात की है. आई थिंक वी शुड, दिस इज अ गुड मूड पॉइंट फॉर अस कि हम वो वी शुड ब्रिंग दैट वैल्यू सिस्टम टू अ टाउन लाइक फैसलाबाद. और उसमें ये जो बात है ना कि ये चीजें वी शुड नॉट एक्सेप्ट द थिंग, वी शुड सी के इसमें से कौन सा पोर्शन हम कर सकते हैं. तो मेरा ख्याल है कि एज वी गो अलोंग Sohail, we will be coming back to you and we'll see how we can get together and we bring this down to our factory floors. बहुत शुक्रिया.
So thank you very much, Qasim Saab. Especially thank you for asking so many questions. And Sohail Saab, I learned personally quite a lot from this seminar. I'm sure participants must have. और हम आपसे ये दरख्वास्त करेंगे कि आपका हमारा ये इंटरेक्शन कंटिन्यूस रहना चाहिए. जो कतरा भी आपके इल्म से मुस्तफीद हो सकें, I think that will be very, very valuable for all of us. So I hand over the platform to our moderator for further comments.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashwin. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmad. It was a great interactive session. Even I got to learn a lot from it. And this has been a really good interactive session. And there has been a good amount of questions that have been answered. And we all have understood that it's all about the mindset that we need to change. And we need to bring the change from our own selves and do not expect it from any other person to start it. So before I conclude today's session, I would request all the participants who have attended our webinar that there's a feedback form that has been made available in the chat box. We would love to hear it from you if there are any suggestions or comments, or if you want us to continue with another topic of your interest, we would love to do that again. Apart from this, I would again like to announce that the Asian Institute of Industrial Aid offers different kinds of trainings for the industry professionals to the fresh graduates and also the customized training. So if there's anything that we can do in collaboration, we would love to do it. And in the last, if you haven't liked our Facebook platform and YouTube account, then go ahead, because we'll have all the repository of our webinars recorded over there. And I hope that we can continue doing such series in the future as well. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for your comments, and I hope to meet again soon. Take care and love you.
Allah Hafiz. Thank you.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.